Ok, dobrodošli natrag. Spremni smo za nastavak. Naš sljedeći panel zove se 12 transformacija za priče i budućnost. A tu ćemo imati pomoć moderne tehnologije. Preko Zooma će nam se uključiti danska scenaristica Valeria Richter i švedska producentica Helene Granqvist, koje međusobno pokrivaju zaista širok raspon produkcije i pisanja igranih i dokumentarnih filmova, TV serija, kao i financiranje i organiziranje laboratorija za inovativni razvoj, proizvodnju i savjetovanje o scenarijima. Panel će moderirati Martina Petrović, voditeljica Ureda medija Danska Hrvatske, tako da evo nju pozivam na stage ovdje, a onda će nam se u biti uključiti preko Zooma i naše gošće iz Skandinavije.
Let's see if you are here. Hello?
Hello.
Hello,
Good
hello,
evening.
hello. Hello, Sweden.
Hello.
Hello,
Croatia.
Woo! Can they hear a bigger applause so that they know that they're not alone? Thank you.
We can also applaud you.
Okay, so I need to look at there. Okay, so this is going to be the first time that we are diving into the story of sustainability and transformations. I also would like to welcome everyone who is back after a short break. Next 45 minutes will be devoted to 12 Transformation for Stories in Future. And as already announced, with me are two wonderful ladies, Valeria Richter from Denmark and Helene Granqvist from Sweden. Before we dive in, I would like to introduce them properly. So, Valeria Richter, a scriptwriter and coach, works internationally where she develops and consults in the areas of feature film and TV series, lab script development and pitching, where she regularly consults funds and industry events. She was also part of creating Torino Film Lab and the Baltic Empower Labs in 2008, and was hired to manage the successful Nordic genre Boost Lab of Nordisk Film and TV Fund. She is head writer and creator of an 8-part TV drama Near Fee series Next of Kin, premiered on Finnish streamer Elisa Vihde via Play 2022. She holds an MA in Film and Media, and she's also the member of the European Film Academy. Helen is a prize-winning Swedish producer who has worked with film and TV for more than 30 years. Her films have been represented at many festivals such as Cannes, Toronto, and Venice. She is also frequently engaged internationally as a pitch coach and lecturer. From 2018 until what we say last week in Helsinki, she was the president for 50 Women in Film and Television International. She is also founding member of ARTEF, Anti-Racist Task Force for European Film, and the member of the European Film Academy. Both have collaborated for more than 10 years, gaining significant professional experience in film and TV. And since 21, this is important to highlight because it's part of our topic, are bringing new Nordic narratives, a project and leadership lab, and network concept focused on inclusion and sustainability to key film and TV industry events. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Thanks for having me.
Our main title, I'm sorry, you will need to bear with me a bit. Our main title is 12 Transformations, but our subtitle can be also the leadership for sustainability. We often interpret sustainability at first glance as greening, and usually when it's translated into different languages like Croatian, immediately there is association with the greening. But you know, I know, and soon will audience know that it's more than that when it comes to the sustainability, especially when it comes to our professional, private life, our creativity, and our personal growth. I personally participated at 2 think tanks with our dear ladies, and at first I didn't know what to expect. It was in Berlin and Cannes, but then I was really moved how you easily guided us into open up to share where we are and where we would like to be. And indeed, with COVID and past pandemic period, we needed to face with a lot of uncertainties when it comes to our work, to our relationships, at all levels. So let us have uncertainty as the number one. So who's going to start? Helen?
Thank you very much, and thanks for having us. Yeah, uncertainty. If I could start this, I think we all look at the world view, and I think that you in the audience, just like me and Valeria, can be kind of overwhelmed. There's a lot of things to deal with right now, a lot of change in our industry. You have the climate change, you have the distribution situation, you have inclusion, you have new circumstances for audience. There is a lot, both outside our professional life, in our private lives, and in our professional lives. And the feeling that we somehow grasped when we started New Nordic Narrative, which is a project that takes an overview of the whole industry and asks the question, what can we do and who can we be for sustainability? We found out that this uncertainty makes us really confused. But although both me and Valeria have worked a lot are working with storytellers and our own storytelling and other artists, we know uncertainty and confusion in a creative process is a very important place to be, because I think you all have, if you create stories, you have experiences of being in a situation where, oh my God, I don't know how to continue this story. But then you know that if you escape that moment, you will lose something. So you need to stay there and be calm and investigate, be curious, and try to find the next step. Hopefully you have some collaborators beside you. And that was exactly what we decided to do when we started this project. Me and Valeria decided to embrace our own confusion, but to take it and be conscious, confused together.
So we come to number 2, conscious confusion. So where the new Nordic narratives play a big part. So maybe Valeria, you would like to take it from here.
Yeah, well, you can say, okay, what's so special about conscious confusion? But I think it has to do with the fact that we need to ask a lot more questions about why we do things the way we do them. Why is the systems working, all the different systems, the script development, the funding, the production, the distribution. And a lot of the focus has gone into the production, not so much into the other fields. And that's why we decided to try to look at the whole ecosystem, or pipeline, you might want to call it as well, and start asking these questions. It's not about destroying things that work, but it's really about questioning, because there are a lot of things that are not working. And there are where maybe we don't get the best out of the resources we're using, where maybe creatively as well, we're not making the most of it. And a lot of people also suffer from it in their work life. So it can sound like a lot, but it's like the first step to transform, you can say, is to just acknowledge that there is a need, there is a transformation happening around us in the world, whether we want it or not, and to step into that and look at how can we transform together with all the confusing things that are happening around us. So, and to talk more about it with each other.
If I may just say, because you touched now the me to we perspective. So we cannot all the time be me, but we need to also kind of expand our thinking into we, from egocentric to ecocentric. Can you hear me? Okay.
I lost you a while, but did you ask me to talk a little bit from me to we?
No, I just jumped in with Valeria from the perspective of me to we.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Helen can
but it is our third transformation. So it's very much needed so in our industry. And one point that you also tackled is that also Creative Europe Media is somehow less and less investing in the storytelling and the training programs on the stories. And I'm afraid that something needs to be done in a different direction, because not everything is all about production, but also about the storytelling and different approaches of our stories. So so would you like to add something on the third transformation from me to we? You're probably experiencing this in the 50 a lot.
Yes, yeah, I think it's, being a person who all my life, and I know Valeria was the same, I think that's why we're going well together. I can do it myself. I better do it myself. I'm a strong person. I really have embraced that my whole life. But I also come to an end when I suddenly or finally dare to acknowledge my own weaker points, which can be difficult for all of us, because it's you are always encouraged to be strong and successful, but we know that we are both. We all have weak points. And I think to embrace that I need other people was personally very difficult to me. But I think that is one of the most important things for all of us, to find out that we do belong to something that is that bigger than us, that is more than just me. And my experiences from WIFTI has been, I have experienced the strength when people organize and decide to go together because they dream of something that is better what exists right now. And I think we all have that inside us. We know what's wrong. And if we dare to express it, and we find people who suffer from the same things that we do, and we decide to imagine what could be different, and we start to walk that walk, I think that do something important to us. And one example from WIFTI has been, because we are in a very competitive ecosystem, to say it out mildly. And I think that's not good for us. I think we all have competitiveness inside us, but we usually say we should use that force to take us to the future, not to fight each other to the sides. And, we are always fighting about very small cakes. There are not enough resources to fulfill the needs of our storytelling. And I once got this picture in my head. Why are we fighting about small resources when we know that there are enough resources in the world? They're just so to say, fucked up, distributed. What if we, instead of fighting about this small cake, decide to try to bake a bigger cake? And to do that, and I will use the word that is very important to us, with love, because I think we should give each other love instead of competing with each other. To be competitive is important, but to drive us into the future, not to put each other down, because we need each other in this time of history. So from me to we perspective has both personal and relational, but also bigger perspective. Valeria.
Yeah, Valeria. Yes.
Yeah, and I think I just want to add a little tail to that, because it's also it's like we talk very much about like you can say from inside us. Like when bring a story into the world, it often comes from somewhere in your body, and you want to bring it out into the world, and you put up that star and that vision and get other people to follow you. So that's also going from me to we in the creative process, but another me to we. And it's really about constantly looking at your own particular unique place where you see the world and work and live, but also the bigger picture that we're all a part of, and to start connecting the two. And that's very much what New Nordic Narratives is about. And one of those elements is, of course, nature. A lot of us live in cities. What role does nature have in our stories? It can be as basic as that. How to find a connection and understanding. We have this expression it was actually a book man. I forgot his name right now. Apologies, but to go from the egocentric to the ecocentric, and the egocentric comes out of the Anthropocene, which is let's not do a big lecture about that, but basically it's a triangular hierarchy where the white man is at the top and everything and everyone else is underneath, and that's the egocentric, sort of from the old paradigm. And now we're moving in a battle, almost, you can say, and I hesitate to use the word battle, but maybe in a later transformation we can talk about language and words, into the ecocentric, where we are all together. So whatever we do comes back to, as we say in Denmark, bites us in the butt later. So if we don't treat our soil, and soil is really important, it's where we get our nurture, like where we grow things, food. So if we destroy the soil, and we have very much on this planet, we cannot grow anything anymore. And if we can't grow anything, we can't eat. And then who cares about stories? And so, it's to get that we perspective in, but not let it paralyze us. So,
and often we struggle a lot when we think that we can control everything. So, and sometimes we feel hopeless when we know that we can't control. So we don't feel okay, that we just need to let things be and embrace them as they are. And actually, you highlighted all in one, fourth and fifth transformation. So personal, project, public and planet impact. So all those four really need to, I cannot speak with my hands because I'm going to lose my notes, but they are really interlinked with each other. Yes, you said that we need to have a bigger perspective of our industry, and since I've been involved in the audiovisual industry for 15 years, I'm a really advocate of small territories, low audiovisual capacity countries, small countries. And yes, we also collaborate on the stories from the region, from the Balkan region, so that new and emerging talent has also equal possibilities, which is right now not the case when it comes to the different markets. What do you think, what is the core and the purpose and commitment that we need to invest in order to change that? You are already doing it, but sometimes at those political levels and the European Commission, it's really difficult to break through.
Yeah, can I just start to give, because when we started to think, and I just want to share, when we started, we were not sure, and we are still not sure. We are searching and we are investigating. So even we are passionate about this. I really would like to share that it was from this not knowing point we started, but then it's an experiment, but we started to look at what's in our life. Who do I look at myself? And both me and Valeria work a lot with talent. We work with new talent, but we also work with very experienced talent. And doing pitch coaching is kind of interesting, because standing in front of an audience and talking about something that is vulnerable to you can be very challenging. Doesn't matter how famous you are. And we found out that a lot of people, we encourage them to be more of themselves, because sometimes we put down ourselves in ourselves. So just to share that our idea is that we are all the same. We have different experience, but we are very much similar when it comes to some things. And when we started to look at these 4 dimensions, we started to ask people, if you think of your impact on your personal life from a scale 1 to 10, how big impact do you think you have? We asked the same question on a project level. How big impact do you think you have on your project? We asked the same question, how big impact do you think you have on your public, your audience? And we asked the question, how big impact do you think you have on the planet? We got, and please start to reflect, you in the audience, how do you see yourself? The average answer we got was that when comes to and project level, most people gave us the answer between 7 and 9. I think I have kind of big impact on my personal life and on my project. But when we asked about public audience and planet, the average answer was between 2 and 3. Except but one person who said 10, 10, 10, 10.
Oh.
And we asked, how can you be so sure? And she had said, I'm a Black woman. I can't afford to answer lower than that, which was kind of interesting. And I'm happy to hand over to Valeria to
wrap it up,
if you want.
Yeah, well, we did some, you can say, experimental labs. Like I've developed so many different lab concepts over the years. And so we decided if labs where we bring in these perspectives, like a crash course on sustainability, crash course on inclusion and diversity, and sort of a crash back on audience connections and relations. And back in the day, I developed the concept of audience design with Torino Film Lab. So the audience thinking came naturally from there, because even we are in our own bubble of artistic creation. At some point, if we apply funding, whether it's private or public, we have to consider who is going to interact and be impacted by our story at some point. And so the question we have often been given is, how do you, the idea of artistic freedom, should we put climate in every story now? What about my artistic freedom? But our experience in these labs was that nobody felt their artistic freedom being threatened. Everybody felt that their toolboxes and their view of the world and they saw things and were already in their stories that they had not seen in that perspective. So everyone felt very inspired and enriched, and both also on the artistic level, but also on considering the practical. And I think we really need to start building more bridges. As a scriptwriter, I often feel that we need to start thinking already from the script and then build a bridge to the green shooting and all that. So that's really the soil, you can say, where everything starts, and we need to think from that perspective forward.
Do you think there is enough solidarity with creators, stories and future, in terms of, do we really know which stories we want to bring in the future? And do we like where we are, and which old structures do not serve us anymore?
We have, when we were in our own process, we had to ask ourselves, what is the most important? Where is the most important for us to put our solidarity? And it might sound cynical, but we know love. And we decided to invest our solidarity in creators, stories, and future, meaning that always has the biggest prior when we design, because I think what we do is some kind of design process, how to develop into a more sustainable structure. And then we have to be harsh, because systems for funding, systems for production, systems for distribution, systems for bigger European funding, if they don't serve creators, stories, and future, we might have to be harsh when we look at them, which I think will benefit us as an ecosystem for film and TV making. And if we want to survive for the future, we need to take things serious. So was that an answer to your question?
Yes, from your side. But I'm curious.
Can I just add that I think it links back to your question about control as well, because I think a lot of the systems get pressure to make sure that, sustainability and diversity and audience and marketing and all that. So we have to fill out a lot of forms and spend a lot of time serving their needs in a way so they can tick their boxes. And so I think the reason we put control in the sort of transformation list is to really also ask, because the other side is are aspects we need to look at, and I kind of see 4 of them, and I know one is coming later, and the list is control, but also trust, and also success and risk, and how are they being navigated in the pipeline that we have now, and how could we maybe navigate them differently, so we would make better stories and maybe have better columns and these things.
Yeah,
and if I may,
sorry.
The truth is that we don't know. And a very good question to ask, what do we do when we don't know? Which parameters do we prior? And which intentions are we carried by? So I think this, to accept that no one knows the success of tomorrow.
And also like so that these things that we need to fill out in the forms to get the financing and so on, they can easily feel like a burden, like, oh no, we have to fill in all this stuff. But if we start thinking about it more of the time and start questioning things and start talking about it from the beginning, then maybe they can be part of building that success instead. So
yes, I would also like to see more healing and understanding what is successful for example, creation projects or the regional projects might not be the same success story in other countries, Scandinavian, Nordics, and similar. But we also need to appreciate that we have one way of telling the story and one way of succeeding in something. And this is often lacking in terms of the decision making and supporting the film projects and projects in general. Yeah. So we definitely need a good life. We need some good action. And what base do we want to build on? So who will be included? What part does nature play? And what gives us the energy? Who wants to start? We have the feeling that we are like going in a circle, but we are highlighting some important points that were communicated during those think tanks, and that the industry communicated that it's needed, and maybe this will also be addressed to those that are deciding about the financing. So, Helene, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, but I think the last, or was it the second? No, the one before. We have done 2 think tanks now, the latest months. But there was one thing that came very strong to me. There was a young woman who started to express her feelings about being in the ecosystem and financing system. And then she started to excuse herself. Said, oh, but that's not my feeling. Maybe I shouldn't talk about that here. And then it became so obvious to us. Her experiences is the knowledge we need. And I think that is in all of us. I think all of us right now carry experiences that we very easily associate to negative feelings or to disappointment, feeling excluded, not being seen, these kind of things that is really basic for having a good life, I would say, because we are the same. We all want to belong. We all want to find our part, be accepted, be included, develop ourselves, rest when we need. We are not complicated species, we humans. We are kind of easy to read. And I think if you all go inside yourself and find out what is not working for you, it can be everything from, I don't have enough time with my kids because I have to work all the time. And you think there is something wrong with you because you can't manage an impossible situation. What if it would be possible to do things in another way so you can have both your professional life and your family life? What if we redesign the way we do things? You see, and I really want to say one thing, because we have had the privilege to work with Martina with the Balkan way. And one thing I have heard from many filmmakers in the Balkan, having the idea that Balkan is a little less Europe than the rest of Europe, which makes me super sad to hear, not only because I pity Balkans, because I pity Europe, because if Europe has that problem that we have designed a Europe, but which makes some people feel that they belong less than others, Europe has a problem. And I think that is the thing, to see that my personal problem, that your problem in a systemic, in a we perspective, and ask if my problem is a problem that repeats all through the system, it's our problem. Then your problem, when you express your feelings, might be the missing link of the knowledge we need to redesign what we have right now. So to see yourself and your contribution to the picture, I think that is super important. I think that's what we do in the near future. We listen.
Can I add
to
something? Yeah. Can I add something?
Can I just add one thing? I think another aspect of this questioning is also that within this pipeline, the way it is, that, you know, in order to get to the next level, in a way, there are certain stops. You know, you only can get a certain award if you have been at certain festivals, or, you know, there are so many little barriers. And I think we are kind of not really even aware of all the barriers that we have put in, all of them. So I think this idea of challenging also what is valuable knowledge really feeds into that, and how to, I mean, there is the way that we are organizing ourselves in the systems we have, really getting the best out of what we want for audiovisual storytelling.
Yeah, just wanted to add something, because most of the people ask me, why did you name pitching event Balkan Pitch, and with this funny title, Serious Balkan Pitch, the rough way, or the other way around. And Croatia, actually, yes, it's a Central European country, but it can also be in the part of the southeastern territory. But if we want to bring also more countries like Greece and Bulgaria, then there needs to be some kind of common nomination. In the end, what is so valuable with participation of young and talented creators from those countries, that they have a voice and they have someone in the jury to hear his or her story. And I don't know if you remember, last year, there was a beautiful story, I think, coming from Serbia, and it was about great divorce. It was a kind of...
Yes. Yeah.
And the creator said that this is the first time that he has this freedom to develop his personal story point of view, because it's based on a true story. And you asked him, actually, why is that so? Because usually stories from our countries are already stigmatized, that they need to have political connotation, they need to have war connotation, they need to have conflict connotation, crime, different from Nordic noir, of course. So he was very happy to be able to actually pitch his personal story. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to say there are many non-white filmmakers we had a participant, he called himself a brown filmmaker, and he said, why as a brown filmmaker can I only get to make brown stories, so-called? Like, they have to be about refugees or immigration, or I want to tell whatever stories I want. And so I think it's reflected in many, in more places than we think, that we box people in, and in a way we are supposed to be so open and creative, and we keep boxing things in.
But I think that's actually, I see definitely a pattern here. As long as you belong to a discriminated group, you somehow should carry a stigma of that discrimination in your storytelling, which is totally sucks, to be honest, because I think the oppressors should take care of that. Could be a long discussion, but to acknowledge that this is a fact, and to find, because this is artistic freedom. Biased expectations really steal artistic freedom from people. Artistic freedom is to tell the story you want.
Everybody said that the artistic freedom they felt only threatened was in the financing process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one participant who said, "Fuck artistic freedom. hello, artistic responsibility, but that was also to see yourself in a bigger picture. I don't produce films for the film industry. I produce films for the world, for the audience, for the change, for my dream of something. That's my inspiration to share my stories. It's not to tick the right boxes in a corrupt system.
We didn't hear it, but do we have questions from the audience? If I can see. But maybe from you, I mean, we already announced the Balkan pitch, but what are your next steps in terms of the think tanks? Do you already have something planned where we could see you?
Well, the think tanks are like closed events, but just to sort of spin the last couple that we touched on, but didn't go deeper in, and I can see time is running out as well. Yeah. But like we said, we think stories matter, storytellers matter, and that also means that words and language matter, and how we tell our stories. And so we don't have time for this here, but this whole change that has, you can say, right now a lot of focus on the green shooting. It actually starts with the words and the way that we. The worldviews and the values and the blind spots and habits and biases that are in our scripts, and to start finding ways to have someone who is so different from me read my script and see what they see, so that I can start understanding that maybe I'm repeating something I don't even want to repeat in regard to values, and to start, looking inside the scripts is for us also a big starting point, because it really matters what we do there, and the dramaturgy as well, and to sort of question what is a filmmaker, what is a story, what is a development process, and do they have to be in a particular way? Why do they have to be in a particular way to be accepted? Where has that come from? And can we widen that landscape as well?
Helene?
Next near future retreat think tank will be in Tallinn, and we hope we have collaboration with main industry event in the Baltic and in the Nordics. Me and Valeria is going to Greenland next for a pitch workshop, and we will also set up our own pitch labs for next year, where we will, of course, also go into these matters. And for us, this is an organic process. We collaborate with those who are interested in change. And I think that's what has been very nice to work with you, Martina, because I think for taking us to the Balkans, letting us experience this complexity of Balkan stories have really affected this process as well. I really want to
emphasize that.
Because it was, the sun is really coming here. It gave us a perspective of something we thought we knew about, but we didn't. Yeah. So, and I think that is what can happen to all of us, to see a more complex, a bigger perspective, but also dare to be important as ourselves into that. And that's for all of us to find out you are important. And you mentioned leadership for sustainability. It's not sustainable leadership. It's leadership for sustainability, meaning you as a person is a driving force to create the sustainability. You are important. Doesn't matter if you feel important inside, you are.
I mean, everybody in the room, and we can't see you, unfortunately, but you are agents for change. I mean, like in every little thing, just to be a little more aware of certain things, just to start talking about things with the people you work with inside your offices and teams, and just to start having these conversations more and more about how we feel, about how things are working, and can we accept that things are the way they are, and just, start sharing more and more. That is just one little starting point. And that I think, we can all, which is not too confusing to start with, I think, to just talk and listen. I think the problem is that we are all very good at talking, but how good are we at listening to each other, and create spaces for listening also, and have patience in listening to each other. I think it's part
for our stories. Yeah. Thank you so much. We are exactly on the time limit. I really do hope that there will be a day when you will physically be with us, because I tell you, audience, when they're live. They are quite straightforward, even more. And if they say they like you, then they really like you. So have a nice day and speak soon. And thank you, dear audience, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
us.
Have a good day.
Good day.